All right.
up here on the YouTubes. You got it yet?
Just a second. Yeah, YouTube.
Just let me
Oh,
know.
we got a video? Is it a video?
Uh,
Let's see. Oh shit. Okay, I previewed this a little bit. All right, let's do it.
okay.
You ready?
I think so.
All right,
It's kind
Basil,
of being slow.
Chesbro. Oh, okay. Tell me when you're loaded.
All right, yeah, we're good.
All right, Basil, Chesbro. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey man, don't do anything too weird on this one.
Joke's on you, I'm into that
Right away, that was like
Yeah.
Hobo Johnson.
In my castle, galactic throne, I phone home, but it won't answer. Pass me the globe, I'll take hold, give it a rap. You build a foundation, sorta, kinda. No, there ain't no dedication if you castle.
Kind of spin.
Up in the sky, behold the jewels that I've been after. If the sun's too bright, you'll miss a meteor shower. But with this bright, there's unlimited power. As a Chesbro first base made flowers. Soaring up with just past Icarus, and no one isn't wise. And I know why they call it devilish. Perhaps it's not right, but I absolutely relish it. Watching over fight over table scrap accomplishments. Vampires have no collection of lots of repulsive. I can show what we got.
I like the crowd vocal. I want to see this guy live. I want to see this guy live. His energy is ridiculous.
Nice.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Do you want to start off on this one?
Yeah. Vibes. So I don't know how the mic's going through now because I have a worse mic right now. But in the beginning, I don't know if there was a sample or something like that, but it reminded me of Hobo Johnson immediately. And then you went into this like the main part of the song, and it was kind of different. But yeah, it was manic. It was energetic. I loved the crowd vocals. I don't know how you did what you did, but it sounded like you got like a crowd of dudes or a crowd of yous. I don't know what you did. But I loved that effect. I wish I could hear more of that through the instrumental.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the first kind of impressions was just this guy's energy is off the wall.
Yeah.
I want to see him fucking live. That was the first thing I thought of. There's some. I got like a little bit lost in the rhythm. Like I don't know if you were off beat or the beat cut out, and then I just like when I was trying to jam to my own internal tempo from what you dropped, it like got off, and I don't know if that was a fault of your flow or a fault of me being drinking whiskey. I'm not sure, but that was my first impression. So what do you think, Josh? Hello? Josh?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
should we just go through the level? Can you hear me? Should we go through the
Yeah,
level?
yeah. I think it's like
All
going
right.
slow and fast for some reason. But hey, thanks, boys. No problem, Chess Bro. Thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, vibes, I would totally have to agree. I thought it was really good.
Just energetic.
My first thought was like, there's definitely some legit sort of artistry going on here, or some, there's a lot of personality to it, right?
Hmm.
And I think the delivery was good, and that shows through with the whole artistry thing, and just like feeling like there's a unique person behind it.
Yeah.
That's something that you absolutely don't always find. So that was really good to
And
see.
yeah, and energy, man. Energy is something that's
Yeah.
so hard to find. just real quick on vibes, because I usually give comparisons there. I
Sure.
felt like so Hobo Johnson I mentioned, and he's known for like kind of off the wall fucking energy and screaming in his songs. I don't know if that's like an influence of yours, Chesbro. I got some Young Lean vibes too, and then also maybe some of the new hyperpop acts that are out there, like Midwest. But yeah, Midwest is a little more laid back than you are. But yeah, that was cool. Sorry, I interrupted you, Josh. Go
Should
ahead.
we should we even do like vibes, like each of us vibes, and then content each of us? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that sounds fine to me. Yeah.
Do you have anything else on vibes? I think that was all I had.
Nah, vibes I mostly just make a comparison of who I think it is and then whether their energy's right because things I listen for is energy. Hey, are you on fucking beat? Did I lose it or not? And I did mention that I did, so
Yeah.
maybe it's like 90% green. Um, but yeah, I just I want to see this person live. I think it's an overall positive. So yeah, we can go
Yeah.
to content.
I agree, and I would give it a green for that. I assume you'd be green too.
Yep, 90%
Uh,
green.
yeah, definitely. So then content, I thought the only I mean, I know it's the style, but there were times when I couldn't really latch on to any like lyrical,
Oh yeah, I didn't
meaning
know
or
one word this
phrases.
man said.
Yeah, right, because it
Yeah,
was just so fast. I think it was partly because it was so fast, but it was also
right.
because of some issues that we can discuss in the production section.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I mean, there's definitely overall just arrangement wise, which is really like content, um, pretty chaotic, and I know it's like there are certain vibes that are more difficult. I mean, actually, every vibe is, is kind of difficult to form in music, but when you want a chaotic vibe, say, it doesn't necessarily mean just throwing a lot of stuff in, right? Because then
Yeah,
that becomes hard for the person to sort of absorb.
yeah,
And similarly, when you're trying to make something really simple and sleek, it doesn't always mean that you can only have very, very few parts. A lot
yep,
of times there's a lot of complex automation stuff happening, or like, you know, gating and dynamic EQing, compression. There's a lot of like things you might not expect are required to get the vision across that you're trying to create, and it can be counterintuitive a lot, and we talk about that fairly often.
yep.
With this, I know you're trying to go for that kind of high energy, like sort of chaotic, crazy, like emotional roller coaster vibe.
It's like an
um,
anthem too, with
right,
like
like,
the chord. What is it? The background vocals. You know what I mean? It sounded like a
yeah,
crowd.
right. And I know, I mean, one other thing that I noticed about vibes, content arrangement type thing, uh, the chorus is fairly catchy, right? Like the parts that repeat have a clear pattern. They're trying to get, it's trying to be an earworm and trying to hook in. But that becomes more difficult when it's harder for the listener to sort of absorb, the drug of it, because it's especially with the issues in arrangement and production. So I would
Mm,
just say, like, on the content side, just be careful of like, you should probably like make sure you don't have any extraneous layers in there that are just causing chaos and like make it harder to absorb the important things for
yeah,
the listener. Um, that, and just like we would love to be able to hear more of what you're saying. I don't know if
yeah,
maybe like you can have sections that are fast with the vocals, but maybe have some where it's a little bit more legible, and that
mm,
can sort of help keep the listener engaged and not feel like they're constantly falling behind trying to understand what's going on.
yep,
um so yeah, that's sort of my comments on content. I would give it a lemon lime sort of chartreuse between yellow and green on content. But what about you?
yeah. I'd agree, and I think we're gonna probably have the same comments on. It's kind of like a both production and a content thing because
Yeah.
nothing, nothing like stuck out from the mix. It seemed like it was very flat. Like when I was trying to observe, like for the beat, for example, the kick drum and the snare, like this is kind of like a hip hop anthem to me. That really needs to pop out of the mix, right, and like hit me in the chest. And it wasn't hitting me in the chest. Um, with the vocals, I need to be able to hear what you're singing so I can start singing along, especially with those crowd vocals because it sounds like an anthem. And you bring the energy with it. And I told you I like the crowd, but I can't really hear it, and it doesn't really pop out. And that's as a listener, that's what I wanted it to happen. And if I was like a producer on this, that's what I would try to work on is to try to make the stuff that needs to pop out pop out. Because I think overall the mix kind of sounded flat. So this kind of like going between production and arrangement here. Because arrangement wise, it was kind of uh, the whole song was like the same feel, you know. There wasn't really like like a dropout of everything, and then just you and the crowd vocals, and like that's really when you could get everybody to sing along. There wasn't and stuff like that. So I agree with Josh. I would be like lemon lime on this as well. And I think most of the stuff, I'm hoping Josh is going to drop another gem here in production, because I've been told I have a good ear, but I can't really articulate what to do next, and I think Josh is really good at that. So, yeah, I've hyped you up, Josh. What do you got on production?
Yeah, I mean, I forgot to mention it before, but I thought that those, the backing vocals and the layering and stuff
It
seemed
reminds me
like
of
what.
A Day to Remember, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely. That stuff seemed like well composed, well put together. I thought that stuff made sense. Again, it was a little bit hard to really make out those parts and really
Yeah,
hear them,
I'm jealous
understand
because
them.
I wish I know how to do what he did because that was cool. I don't know
Yeah.
how he did it.
That stuff is hard. Like, I mean, an example that always comes to mind is the way that, like a lot of the tracks on Bruno Mars's 24 Karat Magic
Mm,
are arranged. There are some videos out there about this too, but like, just there's not a bar that doesn't have something interesting and different in a lot of those songs. Like,
mm,
it's really, and you see it in hip hop percussion too when you're like trying to layer drums and stuff. Such a skill being able to know exactly where to put things, right? Like on that grid, keeping it fresh, even keeping it like interesting across the standard 4 bar, 8 bar, and having
yeah.
that repeat.
Mm,
Arrangement is definitely a skill not to be reckoned with.
yeah.
um, but yeah, as far as the more production things go, um, it was sort of similar to the last track that we heard. What I was hearing, just like there's a lot of crowding happening in the mid range, which
Yeah.
is pretty common. Mixing engineers work definitely by far the most in the mid range because that's the range that your ear is most sensitive to details in. Like think about it this way: if you boost above like 7,000 hertz or something, or even like lower than that, you have a boost and you like sweep that across, like you raise it up at 7,000 or 9,000 or 12,000, your ear's not going to hear a huge difference, even though those frequencies are pretty far apart. It's a big range, that high end. But in the mid range, you move an EQ move from like 100 hertz to 150. There's a huge difference to your ear, right?
Mm,
So, and then if you go further up, there's all these sort of subjective qualities that you find in the mid range very close to each other. A lot of the time, you'll see professional mixing engineers do a boost and then a cut right after it because there's a favorable frequency range right next to a really ugly one. And that's part of the reason why the mid range is so tricky, especially if you're taking stems and layering stuff, because you get mid range that starts to clash. And there's this thing called the masking effect, which is where if one instrument is playing in a certain frequency range and there's another in the same range, one sort of disguises the other, and you either can't really hear one of them or they meld together, or the overall sort of perceived quality of each instrument just changes like pretty drastically.
mm,
So yeah, that's something to watch out for, is just making sure you're not like layering too much stuff in the mid range. Cut some mid range out if you don't need it in a lot of those vocals. Could be from the backing track and whatever else you're putting together there. But also all those vocal layers do add up. So you have to be careful, like if you have a lot of layers that are from the same person or a similar vocal type, you want to like use a different microphone for some of them. That's a really good tip. If you have a lead vocal and then other vocals that you want to separate,
mm,
um, just like use one mic for the lead and a different mic for the other ones, and stand further away from the mic when you're doing the backing vocals. That's a really quick and easy way to help with the crowding of the vocal range. Um, so yeah, that's one thing. I don't know how much compression is going on here, but that's usually a factor when there's a lot of mid-range clashing. It sort of just smashes everything up against each other. And that can cause problems as well.
mm,
I'm trying to think if there's a whole lot else. Oh, the bass. That was one thing that sort of caught my ear.
mm.
Um, I
Oh,
think you
by the
should.
way, he said that's dope, boys. Thanks. If you guys have time, check this out. He linked us something, and then he said NFT Chicago. I'm no Tart Gallery. Sorry, continue.
Oh, nice. Sounds
Yeah.
cool. The thing that I noticed with the bass, if you have control over it, like if you added that bass in, I would probably choose a different patch, honestly.
Mm,
Choose a different patch or make some major modifications because one, I didn't feel like it provided a very good foundation for the song. It was sort of an instrument that was out there doing things, but it didn't feel like the solid foundation of like a song where it's got the right balance of sort of sub and low end, and you can hear some of that, lower mid range that defines the note. You need to have all three of those things to have a really supporting bass, especially in this genre, this kind of song. Um, that was part of it. The other part was you had some
I just
weird
didn't hear
legato
much of it.
happening. Yeah, and you didn't hear a whole lot of it, partly because I think it was lacking. I think it had a decent amount of sub bass and a decent amount of upper mid range, but
Hmm.
not enough of the sort of straight ahead lows. So you might want to look into that, but also the sort of legato thing that was happening, where the bass was like doing that in between notes,
Hmm.
was a little bit distracting at times, and I think the actual uh, composition or of the actual bass part was moving around a little bit too drastically. It was sort of going like, octave and third up, and then like back down, and then up and down, and you're losing the foundation as you do that, unless you key in a sub octave bass separately, which you could also do. You could layer them. But the legato thing on the bass, it has some uses, but it can be distracting, especially I think in this kind of case. So if I were you, I would probably look at other bass patches. Try layering. That can work too. Just be careful that you're not overloading any specific frequency range when you do that. Um, or, yeah, just try to do something without so much jumping around and legato and stuff. Make it more foundational. But yeah, that's my main production tips. What do you think, Chris?
Um, just to make sure we're clear, Chesbro. So I mean, I'm a vocalist that typically raps over beats that I receive. So let us know if you're a similar artist or if you like actually make your beats too. Because then like some of this
Oh
you might
yeah,
have to relate to the producer rather than your own kind of performance.
yeah.
Um,
Those stuff.
so I mean, coming from my own perspective of say if you're like just purely vocals, right? Um, I think the balance.
Oh, he said he makes all his stuff.
Oh, that's crazy. Good job, bro. Fuck
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, super dope.
Okay,
So you
so I'm
okay?
glad
Cool.
that that applies. That applies to you. Um, in terms of just the balance, I think in terms of us not being able to catch the lyrics right away, I think it might be advantageous for you to kind of boost the vocals up into the mix more, make it a little more forward. Because it sounds like a song I want to sing along to, but I don't know what the lyrics are.
Or
You
cut
know?
some mids and the important vocal lift
Exactly.
out of those areas too.
Exactly. Yeah. And the way that I mean, I love to do. I mean, so there's a. I mean, the way that the song is structured, I think you could do like a hard cut, just like a single cut in the EQ of the beat per se. But I always love talking about dynamic EQ and finding like the frequency that your voice really pops out, and then duck that frequency into the beat, and then do it dynamically, meaning that when your voice comes in, that's when it ducks that frequency. If you really want to get like a fuller sounding song throughout, but yeah, I think in terms of what Josh said, I think he hit the nail on the head, and I think as a producer, you should kind of listen to what he says. He has a music technology degree, but
I
beats
try.
and lyrics and mixing, yeah, dude, you're a fucking powerhouse, bro.
That's
Um,
sick.
and what's really cool is that not only you know how to do all of this stuff, you do it moderately well. But as an artist, you have the energy, man. And to me, I think
Yeah.
that's so rare.
Oh
There's like
yeah.
an energy and a confidence. Like, that's why immediately I was like, I want to hear you live because I feel like you would tear a place up. Like it doesn't, you don't need all that kind of fancy shit. At least unless you're doing the live audio too. But typically someone else does that for you to make you sound decent. So we got K Swabe in the building, by the way. Yurski, Ysurski. What's up, bro? Happy Friday. Get your drinks out. But yeah, so production wise, I'm gonna go yellow. I don't know if you gave the yellow as well,
I didn't
Josh.
really. I would say also probably a yellow.
Mhm.
By the way, I mean Chris just mentioned the whole thing about the energy and artistry and all that. That might, since you do all the production and writing and stuff like that. I
And
know it can be
NFTs.
hard, like and NFTs. Yeah, I know it can be difficult sometimes, like when you are wearing all the hats, to sort of remove yourself and like try to look at it from a different perspective, right? Because in a way, you need like one sort of shift of perspective for writing your lyrics, right? Like the message you're trying to get across, and then another when you're listening critically as a mixing engineer, right? And you're trying to figure out like the great thing when you're doing all these things is that there can be like a vocal part that is giving you trouble in the mixing process, and then you might realize, oh, I could actually change the vocal line there, and it would make it, overall sound better. You might not think that as a first fix for a mixing issue, but you have the power to be able to do that. I would just say that because you have control over all of those aspects, and because you have the artistry, try considering like making your beat a little bit more minimalistic, right? Because you don't need all the stuff to cover you up around you, right? Like, I think we both think it would be great if you could shine through the song and the mix a little bit more. And we're
Bro.
telling you that you should. So if it's a question of like, I don't know if I want to like take some of these, these safety blankets off, we're telling you that you should try it. And, you might have to relearn a few things about how to make yourself stand out more. But we both think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah, the beat was decent, right? But yeah, what really caught my ear was your energy and the vocals and the freaking crowd vocal effect. That was super cool. So, yeah, um, yeah.
Yeah, that was
But
great.
in terms of overall, I think again, you're right, Josh. It's between a good to go and a develop for me because if I was a producer, I would be changing stuff, right? Um, but I think this is a
Yeah.
finished release, so hey, man, like take it with a grain of salt. Take it with the next releases that you do. And by the way, we do accept both works in progress and finished releases. So if you have a song where you're like, hey, man, I finished the mix on this, like it's mix one. I'm going to be doing a couple iterations. Would love to get a second ear or third ear. Send it over our way. I love your artistry and your energy. So I'd love to be able to help out in your future releases if possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool.
Small thing about the finished release part. We talk about this every once in a
Oh,
while,
a
and I know.
playlist. Yeah, you'll be on a playlist.
Yes,
By the
well,
way.
definitely the playlist thing. We've got a couple of playlists, so keep an eye out for those. Follow us on
Yeah.
Insta if you don't already. But uh, I know some friends that have been discovering this recently. If it's really nagging at you, like you have a song that's already out there and you're like, ah, shit, like I know it could be better. Like, let's say you get a new pair of monitors, you treat your room, and you hear a bunch of shit that you didn't hear before. Uh, you can re-release in most cases, like, and not losing all of the stats and like the links and all that shit.
Yep.
Most services will let you re-upload audio and it'll just go right in place where it was before. So that's always an option, but not necessary. Always keep it moving forward. You don't have to keep stuff up for forever if you don't like it, or you can re-release it at some point. But
The
yeah, that's
beauty
kind
of
of
being your own music manager. And you could
yes.
sell it at the NFT.
Ooh, exactly. Good
Wait,
idea.
Big Bet, listen to this real fast. Tell me if you have the same thoughts, bro. Should we listen to this or should we go to the next submission?
Let's go to the next submission that we've got here.
Damn, sorry,
Um,
Chess, bro.
I mean, we just have to be fair because there are people
Yeah,
who submitted, a few days ago or last week.
yeah. We might get it if we have time at the end, but yeah, we're gonna go to the other people because we have like a line.
Yes.
And as you could tell, each song we take fucking long compared to
Yeah.
other people that do this shit. Yeah, so Chesbro, I appreciate you, man. If you catch us later near the end, we might do it. If not, I mean, I think you fill out the form, so that means we'll send you a clip. So yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
The best way to guarantee, so
It's
I
the
mean, you've
form.
already, yeah, it would be the form, just so we don't forget anything because we sort of have a list with that.
Yeah,
Um,
if you submit that and say that you want the package, then like we'll give you a clip. So like even if you can't make it, like we'll send it over your way. So
yeah, yeah. Uh,
um,
I don't know, just for record's sake, I think I didn't say my final score.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, what do you know? It's between develop and good to go.
that's what I said too. Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, again, it's really dependent on the specific categories which we go through if you're trying to figure out why.
yeah,
um, but yeah, I would just say that for other reasons than like the one before, for instance, it's between there. It's great on the artistry and vibe stuff, but there's some production and maybe arrangement type stuff that could be worked on.
yep.
All right, should we do the next one here?
Yes, let's do the next one. Before we finish that, Chess Bro, if there's another NFT concert, let me know. I would love to go check out what the fuck that is. So, appreciate you stopping by. Appreciate you, and yeah, we'll go to fifth column.